I would expect Usyk to win the fight. I'd be very surprised if he didn't win the fight. But, you know, one thing about Deontay can do, he can whack.
Would you like to see that fight, Usyk versus Wilder?
Deontay's what, 40 years of age
40 now?
Is he the same fighter? I don't think he's the same fighter. But then again, is Usyk the same fighter? Because as much as he beat Tyson, those fights took something out of him.
Yeah.
The second fight, there was a couple of things in there, which he still shows what he is, a fighting man, a fighting heart. And he certainly showed against Daniel Dubois on top of his game. He's still the man to beat. So we will see. But if he's going to make that fight and it's going to be Deontay in the other corner, let him get it on.
Usyk.
Yes.
I think he's incredible.
Incredible.
I mean, I've watched every one of his fights. That dude is on such a different level.
And he's smaller than everybody.
He's fighting giants.
He's fighting giants.
When you're fighting a guy who's 60 pounds heavier with 10-ounce, 12-ounce gloves, it makes such a world of difference.
You know?
But please understand, Usyk fought at, I think, 75 when he started out. He's not a big frame guy.
He's like 225, 230 as a heavyweight.
220, not even 230.
Not big. Not big,
and that's
man.
a lot of...
By the way, that was Tyson's weight when he was in his prime, too.
Yeah.
There's something to be said for that, because a 220-pound man like Mike Tyson can knock out any human being that's ever lived.
Yeah, your jaw
The amount of power he can generate is insane.
Very loud, you know, my heart was pumping, you know, and, you know, just not just because this fight is happening, it was just because of the point of the opportunity. You know what I mean? He looking at me and like, I want to fight you. No matter what the reasoning is, he said he want to fight me. You know, and that's important big for me because I don't get opportunities. You know what I mean? I've never gotten opportunities, not big opportunities. You know, if I have gotten opportunities, it's been very small where I had to kick the door in the rest of the way. But this one, it's a major opportunity. You're talking about for the rest of the belts. I'm coming off a win, and after that, I'm in title contingency. You know, next year, it's going to be a huge year for me. And when this fight happens, it's going to be life-changing. And I'm going to shock the world again.
I wanted to ask you, boxing sometimes you need motivation in boxing, but this must be the biggest motivation when the main man, the one who holds all the belts, is calling you out.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's just an exciting feeling. It's a big opportunity for me, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm very happy because I'm usually the one that's giving out the opportunities. Now I'm on the other side of the things, and it feels good, you know, to get an opportunity.
Oleksandr Usyk versus Deontay Wilder is a real clash of ideologies. Precision versus one punch. The pros are divided. Will Usyk's quickness and intelligence gradually take over, or can Wilder's right hand end it in a matter of seconds? In any case, the boxing community is debating this type of fight even before the first bell rings. Let's break it down.
Usyk gave up the belt because there's no money in it, fighting the opponent they wanted him to fight. Now he's fighting Wilder. Wilder's still one of the biggest names out there that he hasn't boxed and probably create the most finance, the most money. Usyk's proved everything he's proved.
Wilder's power feels unbelievable, almost unnatural, as Joe Rogan has always noted. The harm he causes is incomprehensible for a man who weighs just over 200 pounds. Wilder's ability to be dropped himself, get back up, and still turn the entire round in his favor is what truly astounds Rogan, not just the knockdowns. In addition to harming opponents, that kind of power instantly changes the course of battles.
How crazy is Deontay Wilder's power?
Good stuff.
Crazy, right? Because he's built so strange. It's 209 pounds.
How incredible is Tyson's jaw?
Incredible. And gets up and wins the rest of the round. That's what's really incredible.
When describing Usyk's genius, Derek Chisora didn't hold back. He emphasized that attempting to outbox Usyk is a mistake that people consistently make, and so will Wilder, not because they are irresponsible, but rather because Usyk performs on a level that is difficult to characterize. For Chisora, this is a once-in-a-generation talent as well as a fantastic fighter. He likened Usyk's influence to what Ali stood for during his time, saying that whether or not fans want to acknowledge it, Usyk's dominant style and intelligence demand genuine respect.
Everybody gets it wrong. You don't box this guy. It's like, how can I explain it to you in a way you understand? You can't box him.
He's just too good.
He's just unbelievable great. Yeah, forget good, he's amazing. Yeah, he's great, he's amazing. He's like the white Muhammad Ali. He might not talk like Muhammad Ali, but he is the Muhammad Ali of the last generation. You understand? We have to give him the credit where it's due. Yeah. He is that guy.
Paul Smith made it clear that if he were giving Usyk advice, it would be straightforward, leave at the top. There is nothing left to prove after defeating the best in the division twice. He believes Usyk has already accomplished the goal and made a lasting impact on the sport. Knowing when the story is done is sometimes the best course of action. Staying longer only jeopardizes what has already been flawlessly completed.
If I'm Usyk, if I'm advising or guiding Usyk, I'm done.
Yeah.
And get out and you've beat the best in the division twice. Get out now and
unless the real big money's still there, Paul.
Well, that's the big. But as we've said, it may not be. It may not be, and if it's not, for me, that's a perfect opportunity to just wipe your hands. You've absolutely smashed boxing.
Whereas Gareth A. Davis framed Usyk's run as the natural closing chapter of an era. In boxing, people love a clean ending, and Usyk has given them exactly that. By handling Dubois convincingly on 2 occasions, settling the Fury rivalry to claim undisputed status, and solving the Anthony Joshua puzzle when many doubted he could, Usyk didn't leave loose ends. In Davis's eyes, he didn't just win fights, he systematically completed the heavyweight story, checking every box in dominant fashion.
People like to bookend an era. They like to close off an era. You know, you've already said it, I've said it myself, that there's that expression we use in boxing that the fact that Oleksandr Usyk's beaten Daniel Dubois twice, once in Poland and once here, and he kind of crossed the T's and dotted the I's on that one in that second fight quite brilliantly at Wembley earlier this year, and beat Tyson Fury twice last year for the undisputed crown, and dealt with Anthony Joshua, who was seen as a difficult problem for him at the beginning when he stepped up from cruiserweight. He completed the era, didn't he? But
Gareth suggested that when history looks back, this moment could stand out as a curiosity-driven decision rather than a necessity. While Wilder's team had been circling big legacy fights for years, Usyk stepped away from the chaos, took time to live, and looked like a man comfortable with everything he'd already achieved. But even in that calm, the Wilder matchup sparked interest. Davies pointed out the risk is obvious, the power is still there, yet the danger feels controlled because Wilder no longer fires freely. To him, this has all the makings of a symbolic era-closing bout, one that could very well be the final chapter of Usyk's career.
when people look back historically, I think it's piqued his curiosity. I think the teams, as I understand anyway, the teams, Shelley Finkel in New York for Wilder, been talking about this behind the scenes. Shelley Finkel wanted Deontay Wilder to fight Anthony Joshua, but Eddie Hearn would not push that forward for some reason. I think it was a good fight for Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder, but Oleksandr Usyk's taken a few months off. He's played beach volleyball, whatever he does in Spain. He's out building properties in Thailand at the moment. He's growing his empire. He's growing his hair. He looks half human again, doesn't he? You can tell he's on holiday. No, but he's got a holiday element about him. But he's just had a little look and thought, you know what? I'm going to ask the WBC if I can get Deontay Wilder in the ring, and it's to our point of earlier. He's having a fight off. There are risks. Wilder's still got power, but he can't pull the trigger. This is an ending of the era fight for him. It may well, in my view, be his last fight.
Moreover, Adam Catterall made it clear that from Usyk's perspective, he's earned the freedom to pick his path. He's already done everything the sport could ask for. 2 undisputed wins over Fury, 2 triumphs against Joshua, and 2 over Dubois. Now in the twilight of his career, it's about chasing the fights that excite him, the ones that carry risk and meaning. While a matchup like Deontay Wilder is flashy, Catterall suggests it might not offer the real jeopardy Usyk seeks at this stage, more a symbolic challenge than a true test.
Yeah. Do you know something, from an Oleksandr Usyk point of view, I've absolutely no problem with him choosing whatever he wants to do. I think he's absolutely earned the right, and this might be counterintuitive to all the things that I normally say about boxing, but Oleksandr Usyk is that unicorn that has turned up. He has given us everything that we've ever asked of him. He's given us 2 undisputed fights with Tyson Fury. He's beaten Anthony Joshua on 2 occasions, and as you've just pointed out, he's beaten Daniel Dubois on 2 occasions. What does he want to do next? It was interesting to hear him talk about the possibility of the Parker-Wardley scenario. I would have fought Parker, but not necessarily Wardley. Okay, all right. It doesn't really match what you've been doing in the past, but like I said, you're in a different stage now, coming into your 40th year. This might be the last year that we see him as a pro, so he's after the big ones, the one that earns him the dough, the one that gets him up, the one that gives him that little bit of jeopardy. Hard-hitting Deontay Wilder, does it give him a bit of jeopardy?
On the other hand, Jeff Mayweather pointed out that Wilder isn't the same fighter he once was. The wars with Tyson Fury took a huge toll, leaving both men as shadows of their former selves. While Wilder will always carry that knockout threat, Mayweather suggests the odds have shifted. He's no longer the unstoppable force he once seemed. Even so, Usyk still deserves full respect, because facing a puncher of Wilder's caliber even at this stage is no small challenge. At the end of the day, it's still a high-stakes clash where one punch could change everything.
Well, I think that Wilder is not the same fighter. I think that Wilder and Tyson Fury destroyed each other with all their fights. And now it's kind of like Wilder and what did I just say? I forgot his name. Fury, yeah. Yeah, I mean, they're a shell of themselves now. And I think that, of course, Wilder is always a puncher, so he does have a puncher's chance, but chances are he's not gonna land. And I'll give Usyk all the respect, because even though he's fighting Wilder.
He added on by saying that while Wilder still has the power to land a decisive shot, he's no longer the same fighter he once was, which changes the dynamics of the fight. Usyk, on the other hand, carries consistency, skill, and intelligence, and if he can navigate Wilder's threat and win, he would cement his place among the greatest heavyweights ever, especially for someone of his size. It would be a legacy-defining statement that few in the division's history could match. For Mayweather, a victory here wouldn't just be another win, it would be the kind of performance that secures Usyk's immortality in the sport.
Do you think Wilder can land 2 clean shots in 36 minutes?
I think he can. But I think that, Wilder's a great puncher, but he's not the same fighter. So that makes a difference. His punch power will never leave, and he does have a puncher's chance. But that's all I give him, is a puncher's chance.
Okay, if Usyk beats Wilder, he becomes unquestionably the top 10 heavyweights of all time. Agree or disagree?
I have to kind of look back at other heavyweights, but I think it's a great accomplishment for a guy his size.
However, Johnny Nelson explained that Usyk vacated his belt not out of fear, but because the fights he was being offered didn't make financial sense. Now, stepping into the ring with Wilder, he's facing one of the few remaining heavyweights he hasn't fought, a matchup that promises the biggest payday and the most attention. Nelson emphasized that Usyk has already proven everything in the sport, so this fight is as much about legacy and opportunity as it is about competition.
Usyk gave up the belt because there's no money in it, fighting the opponent they wanted him to fight. Now he's fighting Wilder. Wilder's still one of the biggest names out there that he hasn't boxed, and probably create the most finance, the most money. Usyk's proved everything he's proven.
Building on Nelson's point about legacy and opportunity, Adeola Pito shared that respect but added a note of disappointment. His admiration for Usyk runs deep. He's one of the greatest fighters of all time, and could have walked away on top after thrilling 90,000 fans at Wembley. Yet, Usyk isn't done, and Olapito wants to see him take on a legitimate challenge, not simply hand out belts. For him, this fight isn't about titles, it's about Usyk proving himself against the next man who truly deserves it. Continuing that thread, he added that Wilder isn't the same fighter he once was. His prime has been behind him for 3 or 4 years. Still, from a promotional standpoint, the choice makes sense. Boxing wanted an American name to sell the fight, and Usyk is clearly the best boxer on the planet. The heavyweight division always needs a marquee matchup, and while it isn't Jared Anderson or Jarrell Miller stepping up, Wilder still carries enough recognition and history to make the fight compelling. In that context, the pairing feels logical, even if the competitive edge isn't what it once was. Adding on, Sean Zittel didn't hold back, saying no fighter is above criticism, even Usyk. While it's true he can pick and choose like legends before him, Crawford, Floyd, Canelo, Zittel sees this move as a bad look. Wilder, in his view, is badly faded, and Usyk has bypassed other fights fans wanted, like Joseph Parker, Parker's Conqueror, and Fabio Wardley. Even Moses Tanoma, though young and inexperienced, remains off the table. All of this makes Zittel feel that calling out a diminished Wilder comes across as unbecoming for a heavyweight champion. He went on to explain that beyond the power, Wilder's prime threat was his athleticism, the ability to close distance and unleash that right hand faster than opponents expected. Even though he often relied on raw aggression rather than refined skill, that explosiveness made him terrifying. But in his recent fights, that speed and suddenness have largely disappeared. The danger is still there. In theory, Wilder can still hurt anyone with one shot, but the athletic edge that made him unpredictable and feared is no longer the same. So what's your take on this heavyweight clash? Who do you think comes out on top? The precision and ring IQ of Usyk or the raw power and danger of Wilder? Do you agree with what the experts are saying, or do you see it differently? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to hit subscribe so you don't miss any fight breakdowns and analysis.